Hi everybody. Right now is a little bit of a battlefield happening out there on Earth, and I'm choosing to do this outside as I often do because it's so important to remember we live in a beautiful world, even though it doesn't always feel like it with all the information that's bombarded at us. So many of us, many people I've talked to, like a lot of you watching this right now, are looking for ways to feel better, to just feel peaceful, to feel happy, to just be aligned with that inner essence of who we really are. And we often look outside ourselves and go to people like me to get help, and that can be really useful because it can give us information and have that external reinforcement. However, all of the information, all of the wisdom that you need lies within yourself, within ourselves. So the trick is to get into that wisdom, to access that wisdom. We often don't understand or take the time to actually go within and try to find it. So the best way to do that is to just quiet the mind, create stillness, meditation, and mindfulness. And I almost wish that those terms were not even terms that were used, because it makes it seem like it's this new thing that we have to do to add on to the pile of other things that we should be doing in our lives, right? Whereas if we reframed our view of what meditation actually is, it is simply getting quiet, getting in touch with our inner selves, with who we really are, with our souls, with that beautiful, expansive part of ourselves that is within the space between our thoughts. We all have at times in our lives experienced that moments of peace, watching a sunset, playing with a child, maybe even watching a really funny movie, or just being with friends. That moment of when you're in that space, you're feeling joy, you're feeling peace, and all the worries just go away. So here's the thing, we can train ourselves to be in that space more and more and more by simply getting into the habit of quieting our minds. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about how we can integrate that into our lives, because so many people know about the benefits of meditation. We still have these blocks, our egos still come up and try to stop us from doing it. So I'd like to share a few ideas. Some of you are spiritual practitioners, do work in spiritual world like me, but some of us don't actually take the time to quiet our minds. And this can really affect us in a lot of ways. The worries still come in, the self-doubt still comes in, the anxiety comes in, and especially with all the stuff that's happening in our world, it can create a lot of world stress. And there's ways to work around this. So let's talk about some of the most common things that I hear from people saying about why they don't feel like they can begin a practice of quieting their minds into their life. The first thing that a lot of people say is it doesn't work for me. And I think this is often because we have this preconceived notion that you have to sit down for a half hour every day and sit, cross-legged and don't move, be really uncomfortable and bored. Well, you don't have to do that at all. You can quiet your mind while moving your body, stretching, yoga. You can quiet your mind while you're walking outside, while you're washing the dishes, just doing it mindfully. It can be lying down and getting in a position that feels comfortable to you. So there's many ways to work with it doesn't work for me. Try a way that does work for you. Try listening to different things. If you don't like that guided meditation, listen to something else. If you'd rather just try to come and feel your breath, then do that. If you want to do a mantra, then try that. Tweak it. Everybody's different, so tweak it a little bit until you find something that works for you. Some other reasons that I hear are, well, it's too hard, or I'm not doing it right. In that space, when you realize that you're worrying or you're thinking about things, then when you remember, you realize, oh, I've just been thinking, you're already back. You're just constantly bringing yourself back to that place of space in between the thoughts. And when you remember that you've been thinking a lot, well, then you have a success. That's a success. The other thing about about it being too hard is that sometimes we're trained to always try to get somewhere in our lives, right? Like try to have something happen, make it better, accomplish things and set goals. And while that's definitely true and I think good for many of us, with quieting the mind or meditation, it's really about just being present, just being aware, being present with what is, with the feelings that are coming up, not about trying to get anywhere. And so I think that's really important to keep in mind, because we're always, looking for something magically to change. We're in a culture where we say, give me a pill, make it go away, make it better tomorrow. Well, with training your mind, it takes more time, takes longer, but it's also more permanent. So another thing that people sometimes say is, well, I don't see the point. Why should I even bother? What is it doing for me? Well, there's so many studies out there about the benefits, reducing stress, helping with disease. And not only does it do all of these things, but it also changes our brains. There have been studies done that show increased gray matter in the brain and different areas of the brain that are activated when you're with consistent meditation. But a really important reason to do meditation is because we're training ourselves to stop listening to the worries and the anxieties that keep coming up. It does not happen overnight. And so I sometimes think people get frustrated because it's not happening fast enough. Well, like with any, here's a great example. Children learning how to walk. They do not just wake up one morning and just walk. They try and fall down. And they might crawl for a little while. They get up and they try again. And they keep doing it, sometimes over a period of months, until they learn that skill. And that is what we're doing. Another objection to integrating this practice into our lives can be, well, I fall asleep. Well, if that's the case, then you might want to make sure you're sitting up, or maybe the time of day isn't working for you. If sometimes at the end of the day when we're really tired at nighttime, I sometimes have that problem when I'm really tired. Well, I do my meditation in the morning, which sets the tone for my day, and it really just brings me into that wonderful space right at the beginning of the morning. Some people feel that meditation is too religious for them, and they feel a little awkward with that. It is true that some religions or philosophies, Buddhism, Hinduism, have meditation as a big component of their practices, but there's been efforts to bring meditation or mindfulness to the mainstream in a very non-doctrinal way. There's a wonderful movement created by Jon Kabat-Zinn called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, and it's all about bringing the concept of mindfulness and meditation into everyday life, into everyday language that's accessible for the average person. And what I really like about this approach is that it makes it okay to just quiet our mind in 30-second chunks when you're driving. If that's the best you can do, great. If you're really busy, if you're working in a high-stress environment like healthcare or maybe even, in emergency situations, when you're an emergency provider, you don't have time necessarily in the middle of your day, literally, to sit down. So even when you're walking in between appointments or in between service calls, taking a few breaths, being in that space can do such wonders.